a champ and a number one contender that's highly competitive. It's a 50-50 fight. It is a fight that we're both really excited about. It's another person who, man, is looking like, could he be one of the greatest of all time at one time at some point? Or is this where we're going to find out that he's not? And that is Petr Yan will be defending his title against the biggest challenge of his career so far against Aljamain Sterling.
Bro, both these guys are some of the greatest, could end up being one of the greatest of all time. They're both already so far down on that progression.
Yes.
Yeah, but Petr has a good resume, a decent UFC resume, but when you look at guys that are ranked in the top 15 right now, he's only actually beaten one of them, and that's Jimmy Rivera, right? And that was a fight that I don't want to say he didn't shine. He did very well for himself, but it's not like he blew Jimmy out of the water in the same way that he blew, Uriah Faber out of the water. And even Jose Aldo, I know Jose is amazing, but Jose is on the back end of his career, and he had a lot of struggles early with Jose Aldo. Aljamain Sterling, on the other hand, despite definitely some struggles in the UFC, asked Marlon Moraes knocking him out in about 10 seconds. But this is a guy who seems to have figured things out, and he's worked his way up through a lot of these tough contenders, beat Jimmy Rivera, beat Pedro Munoz, and then he goes in, absolutely blows the doors off Corey Sandhagen in 2 minutes in a number one contendership fight. And it's just an undeniable performance. One of those performances that says, I'm here, this is my shot right now, give it to me. And these guys are going to take each other on. Whoever wins is the undisputed number one motherfucker on earth right now.
Man, I don't know who you're going to pick, but I got to go with Sterling. I feel like he's on top right now. I feel like his progression is finally what we thought was going to happen when he came in as a prospect. He's doing amazing things in there, and his team is phenomenal. He's training with Matt Serra and all those guys down in New York. I mean, I think this is tailor-made. This is his moment. Would he be the first champion of Jamaican descent in the UFC?
Yes, I believe so. I can't think of another one. Man, it would be absolutely incredible. I want Aljo to win. I am going to go with Petr, though. I think Petr has just shown a big toolkit. I feel like over 5 rounds, he's shown a lot of maturity. He's gone through some real motherfuckers before. I'm going to go with Petr Yan.
Man. All right. Okay. What do you think is how do you think the fight plays out?
I think Sterling comes out, and I think Sterling is I don't want to say he's going to fade, because I don't think he's going to fade, but I just feel like Petr is just going to pick up over time like he usually does. And I feel like just that combination work late, I feel it's going to be a great fight. But I feel like Petr is going to steal away some of those later rounds and pick up a decision. That's what I think. I feel like if you were to ask us 6 minutes in who's going to win the fight, like those live betting odds, like 6 minutes in, are going to have Sterling way ahead, in my opinion. But by the end of 25 minutes, that's not what, that's not
even as important as it gets now. I'm 50-50. Like, I keep jumping back and forth. I have to pick a winner, so I'm going Sterling, but it is a very 50-50 fight. And actually, I think this is going to be your fight of the night. So there's one fight not to miss. You don't want to go out and take a piss. You don't want to go out there and get some food. This is the fight that you want to sit there and be glued to your seat.
I agree. And there's a fight that I will tell you can skip in a minute. So I'm excited for that.
Go for it. Tell us what other matches on this card do you want to talk about?
So there's actually 2 fights where I'm not convinced they're going to be very action-packed. And that's Islam Makhachev, who brings a very Dagestani wrestling blanket style to the cage, fighting Drew Dober. And by the way, Islam's amazing. I'm not saying he's not one of the best fighters on earth, because he is. He's top 10. He's about to prove it. Or at least he's about to get a heck of a lot closer. Drew Dober's super tough. Drew Dober's just one of those guys who shows up in shape, ready to go everywhere, knows his wrestling, knows all the best practice. He just kind of does all the stuff that people who are good at MMA are doing right now, and he is good about doing it all pretty professionally.
Good.
Exactly, he really is. He's ranked like 15th in the UFC at lightweight, and that's incredible. But that's also like he's a guy I question the ceiling, but prove me wrong. I feel like Islam's going to hold him down for an extended period of time in this fight. That's what this fight is for. There's a lot of guys out of the Khabib Nurmagomedov camp who feel like Islam's the next guy, and who say this is going to be the guy who can take over at 155 for the Dagestani representation now that Khabib is 100% retired.
Mhm.
And another fight that I'm not sure is going to be particularly entertaining, Jesse, I feel like Alexander Rakic is going to just keep Thiago Santos at bay with some of his outside striking. I feel like Thiago's going to have trouble marching in and taking over the same way he was kind of able to blow some of these dudes' doors off at different points in his career. He's coming off like double, triple knee surgery.
I think Thiago is being fed here. I think he's in a losing streak, and I think this is one of the losses they're kind of building up to eventually giving him the pink slip out of the UFC.
Could be. I don't think they want him gone necessarily because he's, with Yuna Kunitskaya. But I think it's just they're recognizing that, like, hey, you need to keep up if you're going to be a top 10 guy. And if you're not, let's find that out, right?
Yeah.
Especially since, is it the kind of thing where he left it all in there with John for that one night where he was fighting with no ACLs, no MCLs, no anything? Was that just everything that he had? And if it was, you respect that.
Yeah.
Right? This guy went to a world title fight. He left everything that he had in his career there. I respect guys like, man, if you're going to get a world title shot, I'd rather hear that than that fucking Paulo Costa shit this weekend. Did you hear that?
No.
You didn't hear this?
No.
He went Deontay on it. He did almost a full Deontay. He said that the reason that he lost to Adesanya is because he was drunk.
What?
He said the night before he couldn't sleep, so he drank an entire bottle of wine. And this is it, like, because this was, remember, he had to fight their time at like 8 a.m. or whatever. And he said he was drinking at like 3 a.m. And he said by the time he got in the cage, he was still feeling it.
What?
Yes, is this not the dumbest excuse you've ever... Guys, you don't have to admit it. Jesse, people have forgotten a very important modern-day philosopher, Shaggy, when he said, it wasn't me. Never admit your L's. Never admit your, there's a reason Chael Sonnen walks around saying, hey, I've never lost a round and I've never lost, and I'm undefeated, right? Because, if nobody knows, nobody thinks it's true, but if you keep saying it, eventually it becomes a gimmick, right? You can kind of put, the bigger point here is like, don't fucking admit that you did that. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You know what I mean? Just...
Wow.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
It's like, all right, if it's a lie, it's a horrible excuse. That's one of the worst excuses for losing ever. Just make that up. If it's true, it's probably one of the dumbest reasons to lose a fight because you purposely got drunk and you weren't prepared for the fight. Either way, if it's true or false, it's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah, there's no good. There's no sunshine here. Only pain. Yeah, so that was very stupid. But we respect guys who go in there and leave everything. That might have been Thiago Santos, kind of to throw a bow on that. But I think Rakic is going to, unfortunately, kind of boringly, I would not expect him to get a performance of the night bonus in this fight, is my expectation. He's good. He's very good, but he's boring.
You know where I think some of the performance of the night bonuses might come is from that undercard. That the prelims. This is one that
that's not fair. He's good when he knocks people out, but his last couple fights have been a lot more boring, if I could say.
I agree. Sorry. This is actually a card where it's not just the main card. It's not just the pay-per-view. If you don't have the pay-per-view dollars and you're not sure and you're on the fence, are you going to order this event? Check out the prelims because they're pretty hot. We got Dominic Cruz, the former bantamweight champion, returning and main eventing against Casey Kenny.